This is an awfully cloudy place, and what's a more fitting partner to recruit than Ceramics of Lakitu? Beating him involves just guarding and having Bo use her fan and then strike her ghost paw when she exhausts all of her FP. Kinda pathetic, but that doesn't change the fact that this is actually a really good partner for us. Ceramics has the same power as every other partner with a single strike attack, with the advantage of the hitbox being separate from his body, so hazardous to touch bosses become more easy to handle. It'd have been really nice for Lava Piranha, but it's a little too late to spectate how that would have gone now. Huff and Puff is the now after all, and his fight with only partners really isn't very different from how you handle it in Vanilla Paper Mario. Really, the only difference is that you don't have Chill Out. His AI is extremely predictable. Turn 1, he'll suck back in all the tough puffs you spec out of him, so charge with Goombario and attack the next turn. Then to minimize his healing, strike all enemies with Lackluster Spiny Surge, and this is how you get in most of your damage. It just comes down to knowing when he's going to heal and suppressing it accordingly. I lost I think 1 or 2 life streams since I know we can slam into the ground and do a lot of damage equal to how many tough pups he has spawned, but all around, it's not a horrible fight by any stretch of the imagination. We rescue Cleavar, and I perform a glitch I saw on a Strider X video where I changed the background to the image of Mario grabbing hold of the cash card with Cleavar trapped in it. There really isn't much stopping us from going straight into Chapter 7, but I want to beat every boss in this game. And we still have one more blooper to challenge, Super Blooper. No, not the god-awful car from Mario Kart Wii, or is it Funky Bike GCN? I mean this squid. She can do a lot of damage, but we're not in any real danger thanks to badges like Last Stand, Zap Tap, and Happy Flower just enabling Bo to devastate her. Yes, I said her. What, you know a male that's capable of giving birth? Irrelevant. Super Blooper's attacks range from squirting us with ink, spawning babies to steal Mario's HP, and charging it to do a double attack her next turn. With Zap Tap, however, she's near completely shut down. The babies can't harm us, her double hit can only hit once since she struggles from recoil, and Bo's damage output is mesmerizing. No defense, just a bunch of HP that we can very quickly eliminate. We also handled a Toad Town Dojo, which is really nothing special. Shan and Lee predictably were very easy by this point in the game, leaving just the master himself. I beat the first fight with him not even knowing how to guard his one and only attack. Yeah. The second battle with him did see me lose though. Know that for this, I don't bother with Life Shrooms. He deserves a fair fight after all. This is largely because, again, I don't actually know how to block his attacks. It didn't help that I was brought from 6 to 1 HP left, so my danger badges could not even help me much here. Then I actually learned how to guard and was able to win. His damage output is high, but thanks to Zap Tap, his most devastating strikes are much less dangerous to be hit by, and it would just continuously fan smack and eventually win. Also, I guess I forgot to equip a badge to just take that slight chunk of damage I was taking from Master... oh excuse me, the Lord. But then there's Master 3, which is a boss fight that was pretty scary. He now has a defense point and an HP stat equal to that of the final boss. And his damage output is high enough that not even Last Stand can block all the damage coming through, making my lacking HP stat an actual pressure point. Knowing that, I thought that doing this run without Life Shrooms would be extremely hard. And honestly, it would be. But it's now Goombario's turn to shine, and shine he did. He charges a lot while the master is just wailing on Mario, at least if he opts to go for his 2 or 3 hitting attacks. Mario was pretty safe so long as I guard, which I did. So this would go on for a while until I reach enough charge where my multi-bong should prove fatal if I hit enough inputs, but I don't. So not good. I had to repeat the process and charge again, and did so until I fell to 1 HP. At least it takes a while in between him either using the wrong move to do any damage and missing through the close call, but once the time had come, we used multi-bug one last time and barely managed to survive dealing exactly enough damage, and we get a voucher. A voucher for what? A bike? Chapter 7, all things considered, feels like a calm before the storm. There are no partners to recruit, just a few bosses, starting with our 5th encounter with Junior Troopa. With ample defense, you should be able to just guard every attack and blow past him. He does a lot of damage with his Magic Blast, but not enough to beat Last Stand and damage dodge badges. I had a single death before realizing this and coming to understand that Sushi's Water Block really would not offer any value, so I just left it to Watt and moved on. Then there's Monstar. You should never lose to this foe, but equipping Defend Plus if you feel particularly scummy removes the 1 point of damage he can do to you. But the real question is if you can even block his attack. That's the real rite of passage. Because look at it, it's a hard block, don't at me. There's very little to mention regarding Crystal Palace. You get a badge for P down D up, which is basically Defend Plus, but 4 BP cheaper. It's fantastic. Only helped by the fact that your max BP is only 30, so by all means, equip it. Crystal King is fought at the end of this dungeon, and this fight boils down to suppressing his crystal bits, maybe Cloud 9 to keep Mario from getting hit as much, but otherwise it's not reliable. Really, I just did the same thing here as I did with Master 3, get Crystal King's HP low, charge a bunch, and multi-bonk. Here though, it served more of a purpose as Crystal King when his health drops can be pretty annoying. He can heal 20 HP twice, basically whenever he wants, and create illusions that you have to either hit all of to make sure you hit the real one, or guess on which is actually him. Goombario allows us to skip all of that and just go straight for the kill. That's all 7 star spirits, and it sees us save Kalmar. Yeah, like calamari. I feel like the section is too short though, so anti-guy? Not a hard fight. Not at all, really. I mainly just did this fight here because I wanted the title data for when we fight the anti-guy unit in this chapter. I mean, it makes more sense to do it here where there's only 1 and not where there's 3, right? I got really dependent on what paralyzing the fellow when Bo Spam Smack would have been an easy 5-hit KO, but instead I wasted Life Shrooms trying to be cheesy. Not my proudest moment, but who cares? Let's get this party started. Rhythm Thief style. It's showtime! It goes without saying, but this is easily the hardest chapter in the game. All the fights here are really tough, and I'm prone to losing quite a few life streams along the way. My lack of patience saw me take some shortcuts, but don't worry, no bosses are skipped, so you can enjoy me and my struggle from here on out. To kick things off, we have the anti-guy unit. Where are their HP meters? I guess despite having identical HP, attack, and defense, they don't share the same enemy ID? I don't freaking know. Maybe JD there would know? I should ask him actually. As a matter of fact, let me do that right now. Yep, wow, I hate this game sometimes. This is why I never use Tattle in this game. I'm glad that at least in T2ID, area doesn't really matter for what stats enemies had. You only had to Tattle Belgium and Maryland once in Wildly Woods and Bowser in Glitzville. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not tattling them again. This fight sees Mario lose a lot of HP in very little time. 10 damage rams and 12 damage acro jumps tend to take your health out lightning quick. And I think it's fair to say that my live streams will not last if I just spam Bo's Fan Smack as much as possible. There's just too much health to get through. Enter Cooper and his pair of Fire and Dizzy Shell. The former does gnarly damage to all 3 and may or may not be symbolic of how satanic corporate business practices can be. Dizzy Shell can also buy us some time, but I seldom use it because if I can, I get much more value out of just scorching the enemies and dishing out damage. Bo does more damage anyway, and after Fire Shell's damage, it's actually much more realistic to then just try to pick them off one by one. Quite a few live streams were just lost, but like an EA game, this is pretty much pay to win. The incoming duplicates are pretty tame. Bombette can be out to have her body be copied, and then Powerbomb will just detonate her doppelgangers, making this an easy one. But then we reach the real baddie, the Koopa Bros. Except this isn't Master Quest, let's fight Junior Trooper instead for the umpteenth freaking time. He's a pain, but we're by now plenty equipped to deal with him and best him. Watt does most of the dirty work reducing Junior Trooper's HP up until he brings out his magic staff. Now he's healing too fast for the little damage she does to KO him. His defense is way too high for stray hits, so I bust out Goombario, have him charge a bunch, and multi-bunk decisively to do him in. Fortunately, my defense was high enough that I wasn't at risk of dying to his magic, so we're free to move on to the final boss. Or, well, the penultimate fight leading up to him. Now, as all of you know, Bowser's been roaming around Dreamland and has a cute little wand to grant his wishes for invincibility. Well, it turns out that he's not actually quite invincible, and you don't need Mario to use Starbeam to win. Bowser has 4 defense total once he activates Star Shield, but you can't pierce it. It means Watt is really only useful early on in the fight. Her respectable 5 damage will drop to a pitiful 1, so we'll need to use other partners to pick up the slack. Either Parakarry, Bombette, or Sushi will do, but it's really up to personal preference here. I only had 5 live streams on me for this fight, and well, it wasn't easy. In addition to Bowser being able to hit like a comet, your damage is significantly worsened. Only doing 3 damage max thanks to being unable to use Mario is pathetic. so doing as much damage as you can early on is heavily advised. Without FP, you're going to be stuck doing 1 damage per turn, and without a lot of life shrooms, death is almost an inevitability. There's really only one move that makes this remotely possible. Lackluster's Cloud9 may have been a pretty crap move for Crystal King, but it's here where it really comes in clutch. Interestingly, Cloud9's evasion does not stack with evasion badges. If active, those badges are even treated as if they aren't active at all. It's a 50 in 101 chance of dodging an attack, which is still good, but it could be better. And anyone who's seen my Misroutes only run knows that for a fact. This fight really came down to the wire. You're probably wondering why I don't use Goombario's charge to chase this fight, and well, oh. Actually, we've been on this fight for a really long time now, so I'd rather talk more about that on Final Bowser, but don't worry, I'll have all of your questions answered by the end. And if I don't, feel free to dislike this video and ask in the comments, I encourage it. But yes, we do end this fight through charge and multi-bonk, and all of my life shrooms were exhausted to do it. Now then, I backtrack and get some more life shrooms and make my way to the Final Bowser fight. Nowhere to run, but nothing to stand in our way. It's our final destination. This fight is largely identical to Bowser in the hallway with one massive exception, and that's that Bowser's Star Shield is now capable of making Bowser entirely invincible. His defense is not only impossible to pierce still, but it's infinite. You are not breaking through. Not even Mario's Star Beam can counter it. This fight is impossible, there's no sugarcoating it. You are required to have Twink and Peach wish for Mario to have the power to challenge Bowser, and you regularly need to use Mario to Peach Beam to disable Bowser's Star Shield. But who cares about that? It's time to arm ourselves with knowledge. So the reason I didn't use Goombario to chase Hallway Bowser is because of a single attack Bowser has, his Star Wave. This move is actually really dangerous. Even if you guard it, both Mario and his partner lose their status buffs. This includes Goombario's charge, so yeah, it flat out won't work. But if you don't guard, your partner of choice is hurt and you can't act for 3 turns. In a fight where your HP can wane very quickly, you obviously don't want to lose any time, let alone what can feel like an eternity. Speaking of HP though, you likely have noticed that my HP has increased extremely quickly over the past couple of chapters. This is to counter Bowser's tendency to heal himself. See, when he heals himself, it's dependent on the percentage of HP he has left and the percentage of HP you have left. You see, if you convert Mario's current HP and max HP into a percentage and round it down, if Bowser's HP falls below 25 percentage points below Mario's, he will have a chance to heal. I'm terrible at explaining this stuff, but I do know someone who isn't bad at it. Special thanks to JD Acer for explaining this to me. Not only does Mario having more HP make it easier to survive, but it also makes the battle take less long. With Bowser healing less and Mario being unable to heal himself, the most HP he will ever have is 10 once he drops to the point where he needs to use life streams to keep fighting, and 10 out of 50 is merely 20%. So by the time our HP falls this low, Bowser has 0 chance of healing himself. With Bowser unable to heal himself and his damage being drastically nerfed as a result of needing to use Mario for the first time since the literal prologue, we reclaim the Star Rod, returning peace to the world. Until next time, because I'm doing an Action Commands List challenge run anyway. Thank you for watching, I'll see you all next time.